We have a women's flyweight main event between number 8 Amanda Ribas and Thug Rose, who is currently sitting unranked in the flyweight division. And Thug Rose, for the first time in her career, comes into a fight off back-to-back losses, having lost her strawweight title to Carla Esparza back in 2022, and then in her most recent fight, losing her flyweight debut to top contender Manon Fiorot in September of last year, and her opponent looking to send Rose into an unprecedented 3-fight losing streak is the always game and always tough Amanda Ribas, who comes in on a bit of a mixed run of form, having gone 2-2 in her last 4. She is, however, coming in off a third round TKO victory over Luana Pinheiro from back in November, and this should be a good one because a win here is essential for either lady's flyweight title hopes to continue. John, we will lead with you.
Yeah, man, this is a very interesting matchup for me. Obviously, getting a chance to see Rose doing another flyweight fight after the first one. So that was her first 3-round fight in a minute. Obviously, she's been a part of title fights and big main event fights for a long time, and you're coming down in the weight. So this will be another chance to see. I thought she started real slow in that fight, and it took her a minute to get into it and was able to kind of get pushed around a little bit by Manon, if you ask me. And for Ribas, I think that she starts fast. I mean, she's on the pedal. If you look at that last fight especially, I love her pace. She's constantly kicking, throwing. She does have the judo, so in some of those times where they would clinch up in like the Manon fight, those could very well be trips for Rose, and we've seen Rose struggle with being controlled a little bit. So I think that Ribas is on a really good streak here. I mean, obviously she's been back and forth, but coming off of that knockout win, and I think flyweight's just a really good weight for her, and I don't know if I feel that way about Rose yet. Rose has a tendency to either show up really big or sometimes she just seems a shell of herself, and Amanda Ribas comes to fight every time. So for that, I'm taking Amanda Ribas in this fight. I'm going to say by decision because Rose is very tough and hard to deal with, but I think that Amanda Ribas, with her pace, like I said, her striking looked really good that last fight, and even mixing in her ability to do the judo and some of the throws, I think can help her out a lot.
Wow, very, very interesting. Yeah, so I guess for me, when Rose made her flyweight debut against Manon Fiorot, I was very bullish that I thought it was a bad matchup for Rose, not even just from a technical standpoint, but mainly just kind of from a physical aspect as well. But here in her second fight in the division, I think this fight against Ribas is actually a great matchup for Rose. I mean, not only stylistically, but also physically. Rose isn't going to be giving up here, as much size as she did in the Fiorot fight. And going into the Fiorot fight, I said, I think Rose can compete at this weight, but she was doing it for the first time against the last person, essentially, in my opinion, that she should have been, other than maybe like Valentina. But now, on the other side of it, she's gained that experience as well, right, and felt the weight difference, and I think she'll be better for it. I also think stylistically, this is a great matchup for Rose. I think she'll be able to absorb Ribas's forward pressure and really get off some good offense. Ribas gets battered, man, in a lot of her fights and takes a lot of damage. I think she's also one of the more chinnier women, if I being honest, at the top of this division. And I think Rose is really going to be able to take advantage of that. I will say, as you mentioned, Ribas is tricky on the ground, and I think if Rose loses, it kind of will be of her own doing, basically from some form of mistake, because again, like you were saying, we've definitely seen Rose not fight a perfect fight and it cost her. So something to look for there, I do agree, especially if it does end up on the ground and maybe Ribas is able to kind of create some scrambler and just essentially out-scramble her. But outside of that, I feel Rose holds a lot of advantages here, down to the 5-round aspect, as Ribas has never been more than 5 rounds, and Rose has done it a handful of times. I could see it going to a decision as well, but I really like a Rose finish here, and I'll say 4th round KO, TKO for Rose Namajunas, possibly even a doctor stoppage, because like I said, man, Ribas just seems to take a lot of damage, and she wears it pretty bad as well, at least kind of from a visual standpoint. So could definitely see a doctor stoppage here as well, because Ribas is tough. She'll keep coming as long as she can. But I think Rose, this is a fight where Rose can finish, just because, like I said, Ribas just takes a lot of damage.
Well, I guess another thing I was looking at with it is, where's Rose's confidence? She had one of the worst title fights of all time against Carla Esparza, doesn't get it done against Manon, and now is running into another. And we know that the mental part is a big part for her. And I just felt like Ribas, although I know you're saying that she could absorb it, it, but I also could very well see a part where it kind of freezes up Rose and she kind of shuts down because she isn't able to get stuff off early.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that, man. And I'll be honest with you, and I didn't really throw it in there, but like another thing is I was kind of thinking about my pick this week for this fight, and I'm just going to be honest, is there's just not a world for me where I see Rose Namajunas losing 3 straight fights. Like, I just...
But
I
time
don't,
catches everybody, man. She's been in some big fights for a long time.
And that's fair, but yeah, man, there's just something to me where I just, for a fighter like Rose, you know, if she were to fall to 3 straight, I mean, that would be, even with the aspect of going up and facing the competition that she has, I think that would be, you know, one of the bigger, I'll say, kind of, so to speak, fall from graces that we've seen in a while, because I still think Rose has championship aspirations and championship qualities, even here at this flyweight division. She's just going to have to find a way to put it together. And like I said, I think coming off that Fiora fight, she'll have a better feel of what this weight class is, especially from a physical standpoint. Because technically, even in that Fiora fight, I'll be honest, I thought she did a little bit better than I even thought she would technically. I mean, she kind of dropped Fiora there in that fight, got some real good offense. I felt like as the fight was going, Rose was kind of growing into it, getting a little better. So hopefully she can come out here a little bit faster start and just kind of look to pepper Ribas. At least that's kind of what I'm predicting. So
yeah, no, I mean, it'd be obviously huge for both. For Ribas to get a name like Rose on her resume, for Rose, you know, a chance to put a ranking on her, you know, on her now in this division, but then just to kind of stamp that first win.